If you were sitting having dinner with an iconic entrepreneur billionaire, what would you ask them? I actually had that opportunity a little while back, and I was sitting across from them, and instead of me asking them, they asked me question after question. So, Jeff, what made you do this? How come you're a coach? What makes somebody a great coach? Why would somebody pay a coach? What kind of expectation would they have of returns? He asked me questions for 30 minutes straight. Finally, I stopped him and I said, "Can I ask you something now?" And I said, "Are you always this curious with people, or is it just me?" He actually threw his head back and laughed. He said, "How do you think I became an entrepreneur? Everybody else was off doing this and that, and I intentionally used my curiosity." He goes, "I just started asking things about things happening in the industry. Well, how come no one's doing this? And what would make the best of this?" Until he developed something that nobody else was doing. And he certainly made a lot doing it. Well, for you and I, we can think, wow, that's an amazing story. But you too have it inside of you to develop your curiosity intentionally. And as a kid, you grew up where that just came so naturally to you. Why are there stars in the sky? Why is the sky blue? I mean, I asked questions about sex that got me in trouble. But in the same way, we were also shut down over time where we started to believe, well, I guess I shouldn't ask all those questions. I should just keep it to myself or just accept things the way they are. You may have heard curiosity killed the cat. I mean, I don't know what that cat was doing, but somehow curiosity got them in trouble. But the saying was to say, hey, don't be so inquisitive. Don't ask so many questions. Just keep it to yourself. Well, I got curious and I looked up where does the word curious even come from? And it actually comes from the Latin. The word is curiatatis, which sounds pretty Latin, right? Well, but anyway, what it means is to care enough to be interested and curious and actually want to learn something. And most of us are distracted to where we're not caring about specific things enough to really go after them. And yet, when we look at the people who really fly and they become forces of nature, forces of business, forces of art, what are they doing? They're using their curiosity like this entrepreneur was. And what I've come to see and believe is that's not something you're either born with or not born with. You can develop your curiosity intentionally. You can become more and more skilled at being curious, and it can open doors in business. It can open doors in art. It can open doors in relationships where your curiosity actually becomes a force inside of you. So I want to share with you 4 things that you can do to just become more curious. And the first one is super simple. You probably heard of Simon Sinek. It comes from him, and he just said, put the words "be curious" on a sticky note on your computer. Remind yourself to actually ask questions and be curious. The actress Vanessa Redgrave said, ask the right questions and you'll get the right answers. So my encouragement to you is, number 1, put it somewhere where you're reminding yourself. Make this a habit that you are going to develop for yourself and for others. The second thing is when you're speaking with somebody and they're talking, number 1, listen and listen again and be quiet. And then when you talk, instead of telling them what you think, start with the words, I'm curious. Like, I'm curious, what made you do that? I'm curious, how did that affect you? I'm curious, where did you learn that? So when you're doing that, people lean in. They want to know, what are you really curious about me? The people who love us are often curious about us. The next thing is to regularly learn something that's outside of what you usually do. For example, like, you're not into art, you go to an art museum. You're not into science, you watch some kind of documentary on biophysics or whatever. Like, I'm not into science enough, I guess. So, but you're learning things in places where you're now stretching your mind to be curious, and you can bring that into your work, into your industry, into what you do. And then finally, purposefully step out of your routine. By that, I mean, if you drive one way home from work, change your brain a little bit, drive somewhere different. If you've been hiking the same trail or walking the same trail, walk a new trail. If you're used to listening to a certain kind of news or program, watch something different. If you haven't been to a certain part of your city or state, go there. I just got back from a time in Costa Rica. I'd never been to that part of the world, and it blew my mind with different things and different foods, different people. But intentionally, I want to encourage you, what if you could develop your curiosity and it will help you build your business? It will help you grow the relationship. It will help you create the things that God's put you on this earth to do. I'm going to be curious to hear as you do that what happens, and I would love to hear from you.